Hi there. Now it's time to put this new centerboard in place in a Canoe Yawl. I kept you waiting long enough. First I need to check that the pin that locks the centerboard in place fits the hole. I have put a new layer of epoxy around the hole, and some have probably got into the hole as it's tight. With a round grasp I widen the hole again, and with some pressure I get the locking pin back into the hole. The challenge with fitting the centerboard is to align the holes. Maybe I can use the pipe to help with the final phase of alignment. I plan on using a thin rope to do the first part of the alignment. Having threaded the line in through the pipe and secured it in one end, I feed the line down in through the centerboard case and pick it out from below, before I tie another rope to the open end and feed the knot down the same way. Now I have a way to tie in the pivoting hole on the centerboard and pull it up through the case. The next step is to make it possible to access the centerboard case with the board. I will use the rollers to push the boat partly off the trailer and rest the aft end on the rollers on the platform. As I want as much of the boat secured on the supports, it's a bit back and forth before I have the whole centerboard case accessible. I tie the centerboard to the control line with a bowline knot. Open the knot on the lifting line and tie it back through the pivoting hole. And tie in the pipe that will act as a temporary locking pin while I align the holes. Now it should be straightforward to lift the board in place. But it isn't. The board is much heavier than the old board. And despite my variation on lifting procedures, I have a hard time. Finally, I get the board in through the case. But it looks like the hole on the board is forward of the holes on the case. After crawling in under the boat, I notice that the lift rope goes around the front tip of the board, and that the board is pushed against the back end of the case. Thus I conclude that I must have twisted the lifting rope. If I take out the board again, I should be able to redo the knot on the lifting rope with the lines on the correct sides without the twist. But the board seems to be stuck. This puzzles me. The reason I made this new heavier board was to get rid of the problem with the stuck centerboard. With a lot of trouble I get the board out, but it takes more time than one set of camera batteries to get it out. Anyhow, it turns out that it is the lift wheel that is the problem. As that was glued in when I built the boat, I will need to partly demolish the boat. In order to limit the destruction, I need to find the exact location of the lift wheel. Using a threaded rod, I can measure the distance to the wheel from the aft centerboard case, and thus figure out where the destruction will need to happen. I drill a pilot hole to check my measurements, and can see that I'm right in the middle of the wheel holder, although it's hard to get it on camera. It's not with great amusement that I start digging into the timber, but with the multi-tool it's at least possible to get clean edges of the destruction. I do the sawing slightly inwards from all sides, as that might be good later on. When I think that I should be through, I check, and I'm not. I remove the top layer if I will need it later, and then I demolish the rest until the pieces fall down, and I can lower the wheel which all my troubles circle around. Corrosion has eaten one side of the holder, and the lift line has got stuck between the wheel and the corroded side. As I don't want the same trouble in a couple of years, I will repair the demolishing in a different way. I put some protective plastic under the hole in the case. With some protection around the demolishing zone, I cut glass. I plan on at least temporarily seal the wood around the hole from water. Our summer isn't warm enough, so I add some heat. And I get up from 13 degrees Celsius to 38. As that is too much, I lower the heater and get a perfect 22 degrees in the working zone. Then I pre-wet all with epoxy. Prepare some thickened epoxy that stays better on vertical sides and glass over the bare wooden surfaces. When all has cured, I clean cut the edges and start planning for a temporary solution instead of the lift wheel. As I have faced the hole, I will need to face the plug. I saw the sides and checked the fit. After some trimming, I'm happy with the fit. I need to mix more epoxy to glass over the plug and after fill the surfaces around the hole. To replace the lift wheel, I drill a hole in the plug and check that I can thread a ring bolt down into the hole. It works if I place it slightly diagonally. Being happy with this plan, I glue in the ring bolt. Now I can remove the old solution. Prepare for a new control line and trim off the excess glass on the underside of the hole. I can't use a knife as it's too wide. I need to use a file and a thin chisel. Now I can check that the new temporary solution works. I feed down the control line, tie a knot to the old line and pull it through the hole for the control line. I cut the new line to a suitable length and feed it through the ring bolt and down through the centerboard case, where I can pick it up. Being finished with the temporary hole, I remove the tape, but I will wait with the final trim until I have tested the function. Now I can do a new try. Tie the control line, the lift line, tension the lift line and the control line. Trying to lift the board is still hard. I use various simple tools. Tension in between. With more advanced tools, I get similar results, but with more control. Each successful move higher up is secured. I also follow up the moves with the control line, whatever a simple or more advanced tool is being used. Finally, I can see the light in the tunnel. Before I dare to push the pipe through the hole, I secure the position with ratchet straps around the board. Now I try to push the pipe through, but I have to help with the screwdriver. It's in the right spot. I managed to get the screwdriver into the pipe. Maybe the lines is in the way for the last alignment. Still no success. Maybe it helps with a faced pipe. And this does the trick. Hooray! Now it's only to replace a pipe with a pin. And there it is. After locking the pin in place, I can remove the setup and I'm ready to test the board. That will be in another episode, further up along the coast. Please join me then.